All right. So sitting here with Casey McEvers, made the trip up from Arizona. We're having a lock-in this weekend where a bunch of agents come and learn for some training. Casey, if you want to take us back, you've been with us for about a year. Tell us a little bit, kind of the short version, what industry you came from, and we'll just take it from there.
Cool. Yeah, man. Glad to be out here from the desert.
Yes.
There's a blizzard warning, and I packed shorts, so that'll be great. Man, I got licensed right after Convention 2023 in Miami, and I came from mortgages.
Nice.
So I was doing telesales in the mortgage industry for about 3 years, and I had seen one of my friends jump into this, and I was like, dude, what are these numbers you're putting up? Like, I'm working like the same hours as you. Mortgages were great. Now they're not.
Right.
Like, rates started to just kind of like dictate how much business I was able to do. Even if I did a whole bunch, it's still like, oh, I don't have the money for that sort of vibe. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? What does it take? And because the mortgage exam is literally very similar to the life license, way harder. But
interesting.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh, dude, I've already been licensed before. I know how to do that."
And were you like a broker as well?
No, so I actually worked at I started first at Rocket Mortgage, which can you name them?
Sure, why not?
Whatever. Yeah, so I started at Rocket Mortgage, and then I did go to a brokerage where I was able to like access different carriers, different banks, if you will. And so like that, when I saw what he was doing, he broke it down to me. And I was like, oh, dude, I'm already overcoming objections. I'm already dialing leads. I'm already like on the phone helping people. This will transition perfectly. And I was like, I'm in. Let's do it. Let me do it. So I got licensed right after the convention and started selling in April.
So April of 2023 is when you got started selling. So licensed, started selling, and then we're just about mid-March. So just shy of a year. Yep. So just so I understand, so the mortgage industry, did you have to buy leads there?
No, I was given, we were provided with the leads, but it was the same concept. There's a lead sheet, you got to dial through it, get someone on the phone, close them. Same, or set an appointment to then close them. So same, but.
So literally like almost identical, like as close as you can get.
Yeah, and I had the same objections in the mortgage industry as I do here, social and banking. Literally the exact same one. So
That's
I
wild.
was like, oh, dude, I already overcome those every day. Like, I can do that. So
okay, that's, huge. Because, like, I came from a sales background.
Yeah.
Yours, would you call it sales, mortgages?
100%.
100%, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was more of like the door-to-door sales, so a little bit different. But I've always said guys and girls who come from a sales background, they can, as long as they're coachable, they can do really well over here, right? Because some come and they have the ego and they're not willing to be coachable.
Not being coachable is, I had to learn that lesson. You know, coming from the mortgage industry, I was like, oh, I know everything there is to know about sales. Like, I'm good. No.
It's a different sale.
Yeah, dude, it's a different sale. It's not a shiny thing. Like, I was selling a mortgage, a rate, a 0.99, like whatever they needed. And now I'm actually taking care of people, but I needed to get the emotional side, and that took me a minute, but I wasn't coachable at first. Once I learned how to be coachable, it's just up from here.
So walk us back then. So you jumped over, in our industry, we of course, we're brokers, commission only. It's highest commission in the industry. So in order to maintain that high commission, we buy leads. Which, were you scared about doing that? Or
that was like my biggest thing. I was like, coming from somewhere where I was fed leads, I was like, why doesn't the company just give that to me just like I used to? But then when it was broken down to me, it's like, oh, so the same way you got to spend money to make money if you're a corporation on like advertisements and lead acquisition, I have to do that for myself because I'm 1099. I'm like, oh, well, everyone gets business 101 right there. Spend money to make money. I was like, all right. So I started at like a small lead spend. I was like, well, let's dip the toes in. Let's see what it looks like. How does this work? And
small, define that.
Like $500 a week.
Okay.
Very, very small. I was like, I'm going to break the teeth on the cheap ones. I'll get, 75-cent leads for $500 and just go after it. And I was running telesales at first, and I found a few like success things. But then I was like, hey, maybe I'll try the in-home because I'm not finding as much success on telesales right now.
Oh, okay.
So I did do a few in-home in Arizona, and the areas I went to motivated me to get back to telesales. I was like, I'm not going back out there. Like Arizona is a very, wild, wild west. Like,
Oh, I see.
what are you doing on my property, son? I'm
Okay,
like,
so you were like,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. And it was classic like final expense, like internet type
Yes.
leads. So
And
you run into some.
Yeah, and I was very fortunate. The in-homes I did close like 3 or 4 on my first week in-home. And so that did allow me to then fund further into the telesales and just take it more seriously on, okay, just learn the phones, keep doing it. It's a script. Don't fight the script. Just read it and you'll be fine. And I only did in-home for literally 2 weeks of the end of April, then back to telesales May 1st and just stay telesales the whole rest of the year.
Wow. Okay. So basically you started maybe the first week, you're like, man, this telesales stuff is different. It's harder.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure your trainer at the time probably recommend, hey, go try in-home.
Yes.
It is easier. Like it's more forgiving because face-to-face, they can see you. You're like, you're harmless. Like this is a nice guy, like easy to talk to. So doing that, did it for a couple of weeks, but then you're like, man, there's pros and cons to both. Let me just go figure out the telesales thing.
I could be way more productive on the phone than I could in-home. Because I do see the benefit of being face-to-face, but I offer Zoom. I offer different meetings that still you can get the virtual face-to-face, but I could do more with my day. I could dial way more. I could close way more because, hey, I just got off the phone. I don't have a 15-minute drive to the next one. And then, a 30-minute in-home appointment, 15, 30 minutes. I could just do 15, 15, 15 all on the phone.
Wow.
Close up and build that. And I was like, I'm going back to that because that's what I came from too. I was like,
right.
I'm going to stick to it. I can do this. So.
Right. And so how long did it take? Because everybody has like a different learning curve. It's typically not typical. It's not too typical that someone just comes in month one, slings, 60, 70, 80,
Yeah, no.
So I'm assuming it wasn't that for you either. It wasn't for me.
Absolutely not.
How long did it take till you were like for me, it was about 2-3 months. I was like, okay, yeah, I think I got it. And then after 6 months, I was like, oh, I know this like the back of my hand. Like I'm just in my groove. So how long did it take you to get into that groove, I guess?
So I'm trying to do the quick math in my head. September is when I finally started. So April, started selling in April to September. So that's month 4 to 9. So 5 months.
5 months. Yeah.
Yeah. So it took me 5 months to kind of really grasp it and understand that, oh shoot, it's just me. Like I'm what's holding me back. It's
in what way though?
The Disneyland effect, the
okay.
fear, not believing in it, not believing in myself, like not having confidence. Like once I figured out some of those things, like confidence, like I really don't subscribe to the idea of like fake it till you make it. I don't like that at all. I prefer to say fake it till you become it. Because if you fake it long enough, you literally will become what you're trying to fake in a positive way, in a good way.
Right.
And that will then like I'm just Steve G actually, he literally had something that he posted on LinkedIn that I saw. And he goes, for the next 30 days, just pretend you're $100,000 a month producer and just see what that does for your business. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do.
So what, I've never even thought of that. Like that's super cool. What did that mean? Like what?
So to me, that just meant anytime someone had a question, I just answered it with, instead of going, oh, I think you should try this. I was like, do this.
The clients.
Yes, clients, other people asking for help, like getting around people like in Zoom or the office too, just like, but yeah, literally just instead of, well, let's try this. We're doing this.
We're doing this.
Hey,
okay.
I'm going to take care of you. I know your goals. You just told them to me. We're doing this.
Interesting.
And they're like, and obviously a soft delivery, not I know better. But the like, I've got your needs here, Ty.
Yeah.
We're going to do this and take care of the family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you so much. And like, just taking that like confidence.
So good.
But I had to find it. And I was like, I had to like fake that confidence until I became it. And now I'm like on the phone just pitching big old things. And they're like, okay, no big deal. I'm like, absolutely no big deal. Like if you want to do this, like we're going to move forward with it. We got to obviously submit the request for approval. Just like, instead of the tiptoeing and the eggshells, it's just, you know, I'm on it. Let's do it.
you're so you gained, so by about month 5 or 6, you feel like part of the switch was gaining the confidence, which is big time mindset thing, right?
Huge.
Do you think as well as like by that point you had enough reps and at bats to where you had seen it all? You mentioned the Disneyland effect. For those who don't know, what that means is, you know, you sell a bunch of policies one week and then you feel like, hey, I just made 10 grand. Let me go to Disney World and go on vacation. Then you come back and you're trying to catch momentum. So do you feel like it was obviously mindset number one, but do you feel like part of that was also just the repetitions, the at-bats that you've accumulated over that time?
Yes, and they always say, like, get through your first 100 appointments as fast as you can, and, like, that holds so much truth and so much weight. Like, get through the first 100, because then are there going to be one-offs? Yeah, of course. There's always one-offs. But the majority of stuff you're going to handle is right there, and it'll happen multiple times within that first 100. And you just take note. You're like, okay, I'm going to say this here. Okay, I'm going to say this here instead.
Right.
And, like, that sort of thing, absolutely. That getting the reps is what, in anything.
Right.
Literally
Totally.
anything.
Totally.
Same first mortgages, dude. I fumbled the bag so hard on those. Like, so we're going to, refinance. And they're like, dude, are you going to refinance my house, or are you going to, like, today, Junior?
Yeah, why are you being weird? Yeah. That's
100%.
That's interesting. And it is like so true. It doesn't matter where you come from. Like I think it's the case for all of us. It takes about 6-ish months. Everyone I talk to says like usually 6 months to like feel like, okay, I've not mastered, but like, hey, I know what I'm doing now. I have the confidence. I've seen it all. That totally makes sense. So 6 months in, did you, because I remember talking around that time, and you also, wasn't that right around the time that you were doing some like higher quality leads? Like you were.
Yes.
Okay. So in conjunction with the confidence and the reps, you also then started ramping up to some better leads.
Yes, I did change my lead cost because that same concept applies, like spend money to make money. So I was like, why don't I spend a little bit more on myself and see what can happen? And actually that's what kind of like propelled me to be more confident. And I was like, I want to spend more, so I'm going to just do it and throw myself to the wolves and get confident while doing it, which is, I don't advise that for everyone. It's not, it's a hard route to take, man. It took me a minute, but I was like, no, I'm going to stick to it. I made it like a promise to myself. I'm not going to break that promise to myself. And like, I was like, we're just going to do it. We're going to keep it on. And I did. And I came out the other end okay. I'm pretty happy with it. So
that's huge. That's huge. So so I guess for anybody listening, like, people who listen to this are either agents currently or people who maybe are thinking about joining. And so I think it's important, like they see all the like, oh, what do these numbers mean? Like, oh, Casey did 12 policies in a week. Like that must be good. It is.
It is.
But I think it's important to hear, like, we all go through the same crap, whether it's Easton who has done close to $1 million a year on his own personal sales. Like people don't realize that his first 10 weeks, he was getting his teeth absolutely kicked in, like almost homeless, which is like, and he'll say it too. So, and it doesn't, this business doesn't really care about like what background or who you are. It's like you either stick through it and you work hard and you make it through that learning curve that we all go through, or you don't. So, and I think I've recognized that would you say even this year, your confidence has jumped up another?
Oh, dude, I'm a completely different person. Like, and from literally just from September till December to now, I've literally tripled my production like every month. Yeah. And here's the other thing too, is like, we're all still so humble. Like you talk to Easton, $1 million personal production. He's the coolest dude. Yeah. He'll joke
You'll
about
never
you.
know.
Never know.
Yeah.
Anything. Good old boy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and staying humble is something that is very different from the industry I did come from. There were a lot of people who were like, my poop doesn't stink, and you should know that. Where like this one, no matter the level that I talk to somebody, even Zach. Yeah. Zach's like, dude, I'm so willing to help you at any point in time. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, these guys all want us to win. And what's helped my production even more is actually trying to assist others to win more.
Totally.
Because I'm like, oh, if I can help someone, just help myself.
Right.
Like even more. And like, even though you're making that confidence work for you, there's still another level.
Yeah.
There's still another level. But it's like always staying true to who you are and like faith and belief and finding that. But yeah, I really think my confidence is on a whole nother level. Like even coming to this lock-in, I used to be like, you know, like, is it worth it? Is it worth, you know, I could just stay here and sell policies, or like, is it because I might take some time out to train, you know, and now I'm away from home and all this stuff. I was like, nah, we're going. We're going. And there's a blizzard, but we're going to rock through it, bro, in the shorts.
We got the shorts. We got the shorts. As long as the power doesn't go out, we're good. Yeah. No, that's huge. So definitely, and this is something I've always preached on, like you got to be around the right people, which FFL definitely has. And we're fortunate too, not just within FFL, but within our organization, the Capital Group, you know, Zach and Easton and all the guys that we have. It's like, it's
even sidelines, even people like within other agencies are also so willing to like, hey, check this out.
Totally.
Try this out.
Totally.
Hey man, I see you're doing this. What do you think about trying it this way? Dude, thank you so much. Like some of the biggest pieces of advice have come from like sidelines. Obviously I've gotten some here too, but from the sidelines, and I'm like, I didn't think that was available.
Right.
Because of my previous company, if I would ask someone for help, they're like, you'll learn it one day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but what about, can you help me today?
Yeah, like right now.
You'll learn it. You'll get there. And I'm like, I know, but how'd you get there? Oh, no, you'll find it out. And I'm like, bro. Now I'm like, hey, Easton, how did you do X, Y, and Z? He goes, dude, come here. I'll show you. Has you write down exactly what he did. He goes, now that might not work for you, but we'll find something that does.
Yeah.
And he'll check in on you. He's like, hey, have you tried your own X, Y, and Z? And it's like, it's almost unheard of in most industries.
It's wild.
Honestly.
It is. It totally is. Because, yeah, coming from the door-to-door solar space, like most of the leaders at the top, like that, yeah, this isn't like to stereotype anybody, because there's definitely good leaders in every organization, every industry. But there's definitely more that are just like, you know, you'll figure it out. They're kind of greedy, or they just kind of preach from their high tower. They've already made it. They've checked out. Whereas here, yeah, it's like you can go to anybody and most people are willing to help.
Almost everybody.
Right.
And even if they're not available at that time, they'll be able to shoot you a text. Hey man, give me 5 minutes. I'm helping a client. I'm helping another agent. Like, give me 5 minutes. And then they call you back. And it's like, yeah, it's almost unheard of. And I think that there are people who can there are people who can lone wolf this and do it on their own.
Totally.
100%. That's not me.
Yeah.
I need the community. And the community that's here is literally like nothing else.
Right.
Literally like nothing else. And I hear that all the time, man, like different guys in the Arizona office. Oh yeah, solar. And I'm like, well, how was that? And they're like,
it's tough.
Like, they're like, it's tough. And then they're like, I just didn't have any guidance or help. They're just like, hey, just go knock the doors and do this. And I'm like, they didn't like, you know, hold your hand just a little bit. And they're like, I mean, no. Yikes. That's hard, bro.
Yeah. The kind of the go-to. There's definitely good companies, and a lot of people have come a long way. But yeah, the classic like solar, like the way I learned because I knocked doors for 5 years. So and I didn't mind it necessarily, but like my first day was like, here's a polo, like here, come watch me knock a few doors, talk to a few people, and then all right, you go down that side of the street. Like I'll see you at 5. I'll see you at 5 for a quick break, and then we'll be back at it. So yeah, it's just different. How big of a game changer? Because they just opened that Arizona office in like January. So how big of a difference has that made, being able to go to a physical office? Most of us we can all work remote, but I think one of the most underrated things here is going to an office as if it was a normal job.
Yes. So changing from completely remote, which I love and I can do, I'm all for it, going into the office, just the best part about it, man, is I'm on the phone and this client was not very kind to me. Your client wasn't just kind to you.
Right.
And his client wasn't kind to him. And this client wasn't kind to him. So it's like, oh, we all do it.
Yep.
Oh, that's super awesome. Cool. I can get right back to it. It's
right.
Like less of your own, oh, I'm bad at this because that client didn't close. Oh, I'm not built for this. I'm not ready for this. Like, this isn't for me. It's like, oh, no. Every single person goes through this. So that, and then just being around like, at the same time, oh, I just closed one. You just closed one. He just closed
Exactly.
one. All of us are like, dude, we all just closed one. And it's like, now don't go to Disneyland. So, it's like, so everyone like coming around and being able to just build you up in person is so life-changing. And
Yeah.
now, and that also helped my production too, because I'm like, because then you get competitive. That's what sales is about, right?
Totally.
Being competitive. I'm like, oh, he's not gonna outsell me. Absolutely not. I'm like, I'll stay another hour.
Yes.
Like, no way I'm not gonna. No way he's doing more than me.
Yeah.
And if he does do more than me, I'm humble about it. I'm like, all right, tomorrow, you're number one, dude. I'm coming after you tomorrow.
Yeah, like, good
And then-
job, dude, but I got you tomorrow.
Yeah, hey, that was sweet. I hope no one answers tomorrow. Just, like, obviously kidding.
That's so good.
But yeah, it's
Man,
been.
I wish you lived up here. We'd love to have you.
Bro, I'm not into like seeing the weather.
The snow.
No, I'm for it.
Oh, you're down.
Get me
Okay.
up here, dude. Like I'm a second generation Arizonan.
Okay.
I'm a desert rat, a true desert rat.
True desert rat.
And it is miserable.
Yeah.
I want seasons. I want snow. I want like the greenery, the mountains. Like
Yeah.
Arizona has mountains and greenery and stuff, but it's not. I just flew here. The day I left, it was 82 degrees. I landed at
That's nice
30.
though.
No,
Is it not? No?
it's,
Okay.
It's 82 in a desert where it's
Yeah,
like
so, okay.
sunburning and ginger skin. I'm sunburned in like 10 minutes. Bro.
Well, I'm close. The blonde hair. So one thing that I've gathered ever since I've known you, I could tell that your tonality on the phone is probably like really good. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
I try to be as authentic as I can on the phone and with my tonality. Dude, I joke with everybody the same exact way I've been here but when it comes to the serious things, I get serious, but it's not a doom, impending
Right.
doom. It's like, hey, if something happens to you, your family's taken care of. And we'll make sure like your wife doesn't take you out and take the money like early. Like you're safe with me. Like that sort of thing. So serious, but also
Also throw in the humor, yeah.
yeah. And that's what's been helping my business like the last 3 months too with referrals. They're like, oh, you should check out this guy Casey. He actually helped me and like made me feel good about it. Cause it doesn't. One of the things they always say is like, no one's gonna remember who you are, but they will remember how you made you feel.
Totally.
I don't want that. I want them to remember who I am because of how I made them feel. And because I took care of them.
Wow.
So the referrals are coming from Casey helped me out because he made me feel this way. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. It's like, that's what I've been trying to like really work on and just asking. It's like, hey, do you feel like I did a pretty good job today? And they're like, yeah, I feel like my goals are met and everything. I'm like, great. Who are the first 5 people that you can think of that you think I could help?
Wow.
And they're like, oh, actually my brother. Literally my brother. And I was like, dude, last month off of a referral, I'll use the FFL terms. I was able to protect 15 families off one referral.
Wow.
Yeah. Free lead, 15 referrals, or 15 families protected off of that one referral.
Wow.
Him, his wife, 3 kids and a grandkid.
Right.
And that totaled 15 families, yeah.
15 families, 15,000 AP. We got to be
15,000
compliant,
AP.
but like, yeah. So
Yeah.
15,000 in annual premium, that's in simple terms, that's good money.
Yeah, for a free lead?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, okay, yeah, and that's something I want to like kind of pick this apart here because Jesse was telling me that most of your volume, how much did you do in annual premium last month? It was a
last
record month for you, right?
Yeah, record month. It was 36,000 AP.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Dude, to me, what is eye-opening about that is like some of the clients we help, that's what they make a year.
Totally.
And I was selflessly helping people protect their family in case of the worst.
Totally.
And I was able to do that. And I was like, that's when I really started to ramp up just my belief in myself and my belief in helping people. I was like, wait a minute, there's something to this. And you hear it all the time. The second you stop focusing on what they're paying and you're focused on actually helping them, boom.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a win-win scenario because the warm leads that are calling in, they genuinely want help. Like, yeah, we get our shoppers who aren't going to buy from anybody, or we get the people that are just, absolute dicks to everybody. Like, I don't know why they're looking for insurance. But then most of the clients that we help, actually all the clients we help that actually do get a policy from us, they are so grateful. So it's a win, win for them because now they feel like peace of mind. Like I helped a lady yesterday. She couldn't speak. She was mute. And so we did everything over text. And like one of the last things she said via text was like, man, it feels so good to have this coverage now. Yeah. My kids will each get $26,000. This feels amazing. Great. And I was like, man, that's awesome, right? Like so it's a win for them because we're helping them. And then of course it's a win for us because these insurance companies, they make so much money. They're willing to pay us. Basically what I've come to is the insurance companies basically pay us a referral or a finder's fee for these policies. Like, hey, you're the licensed agent. Help them get it set up. We'll pay you a nice commission. The average commission company-wide is like $1,000 to $1,500. Yep. And so to be able to make that kind of money and do it ethically, like we're not selling drugs.
I'm not refinancing someone for the 5th time who racked up their cret cards the same exact way. Yeah.
Right.
Mortgages are kind of... Yeah.
And I don't even know about that, but it's crazy because, it's like there's several times like me and Boatman were talking the other day is like, dude, is this real? Like, is this always going to just like be this good? And there's definitely days where it's like, dude, I need to quit. Even Andrew Taylor, who's got the biggest team, at FFL, he's like, dude, every 3 weeks I'm like, should I quit? And I'm like, dang, if he's thinking that, like,
we all think
it's crazy. So 36,000 AP last month in February. So I want to stick on, because I'm terrible at referrals, and I've always heard like it's just asking, but I want to hear again how you asked. So you and when do you ask for the referral?
So I ask for the referral. Literally, sometimes I ask for it in the middle, the beneficiary, when we're going over the beneficiary.
Middle of the app?
Middle of the application.
Got it.
So then they kind of like hearing that I can help other people. It's like, hey, you're leaving this to your wife. Does your wife have any coverage on her, by the way? And then they're like, oh, yeah, she does, or no, they don't. I just make a little note. I keep going. They're like, do you want a contingent beneficiary? If something happens to both you and your primary, do you want that coverage left to someone? They're like, yes. I'm like, cool. Hey, does your kid have anything set up on them that can kind of help them in their future? Like kind of do 2 for 1. You help them plan, and they also, if something happens to them, they have something. They're like, I've heard about that, but I don't know. And I'm like, oh yeah, you probably saw like the old Gerber commercials, right? And they're like, yeah, ha ha ha. And I'm like, keep going through it, right? So then at the end, I picked this up from the Arizona office. I like to use I've got good news and I've got bad news. Which one do you want first?
I'll take the bad news.
Bad news, Ty. You and me, you're going to hear from me a lot. I'm going to be your agent for life, which means I'm going to follow up with you every few months, see how the family's doing, see how things are going, make sure your team's still losing, that sort of thing. Get a laugh, do that stuff. Good news is I've got you approved, and based off of our conversation, there are still people I can help in your family. Do you feel like I could help service them somewhere in that way? Or do you know anybody that can benefit from working with myself, how I helped you? Wow. And they're like, yeah, actually I do. Now, not every single person says yes. They're like, you know what, let's see, totally. give me a little bit of time. I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
The last thing I want is someone to be like, when you buy a car, you got that pushy guy and you're just like, bro, get away from me. Right. I don't want that. I want them to remember the like.
And this, you're saying pushy. This to me as a client. That's what you say to the clients as well?
Yes.
If they
sometimes like I literally, a lot of people are like, why would you say that? Like, why do you say that to people? And I'm like, because I'm human.
They understand.
The more I'm human to them, the more they're like, oh, this guy, they can see my heart. They can see my brain. They can see my soul, like however you want to name that.
Sure.
So I try to humanize myself to them I will literally say, hey, I'm not going to be that pushy guy. I'm not going to do that. But in the meantime, in 2 weeks from now, I'm going to give you a call when the policy package should arrive. We can revisit that if you're willing. Awesome. Or they're like, actually, yes, Casey, I have my brother. He hasn't been able to find coverage. He keeps getting declined. Do you think you can help him? Absolutely, wow. I can. Let's see what I can do. I work with so many carriers. I'm sure I can find coverage for him. And they're like, oh my gosh, hey, actually, I don't know if my mom, like even a 40-year-old guy is like, dude, I don't know if my mom has any coverage. Like, oh shoot, like I don't want to pay out of pocket. I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, we can absolutely look at like elderly policies that would take care of you. And they're like, okay, that makes me feel so much safer. And like you said, that lady texted you. I've had people cry on the phone.
Oh, totally.
Dude, I had a lady.
I just got chills.
Yeah. The first time someone cries on the phone, you can't help but just be like, you know, like,
Yeah.
I did it, you know, I helped you. And this lady, one time I helped her, and she had gotten declined at like 4 of the carriers. I had called her and said, I actually have policies for active cancer patients. We can see what we can do for you. And she's like, okay. And I got her approved, got her an AIG, GIWL. And she was like, Casey, this has made me feel so safe. Like, do I have permission to put your name on a sign and put it in my front yard? And I was like, I mean, yes, please.
That's
like,
awesome.
Free advertising. And I was like, and that one specifically, I turned on the charmer a little bit, and I was just like, yeah. And if they call me and say, hey, you're a referral from her, I'll be like, oh, sorry, I don't help people from her. And she's like, you won't? I was like, of course I will.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, oh, you.
Gotcha.
Like, yeah,
so you play that fine line. I mean, I always say this, dad jokes are like so good for insurance.
Dude, like my favorite one to ask people, just break the ice anywhere. Like it's feeling weird. Like you just ask for social. It's kind of weird, like this or that. I'm first person to be like, hey, Ty, do you know why I don't trust ladders?
Why?
Because they're always leading up to something. Bro, the second you do that with someone and like you laugh with them and all of that stuff, they're like, oh, this is my friend.
Yeah.
Like we're just sitting at the
Casey.
table. Yeah,
This
this
Casey.
He wants to help me.
Yeah.
But I did learn there's a fine line. You do too much of that.
Totally.
Like, wait, Casey, my friend, he wouldn't close me.
Correct.
So like I had to learn that too. Like keeping that same piece on that line, but making sure that I wasn't now the quote guy because I'm your friend.
Yep.
Hey, I'm still going to do business. We're still going to submit this for approval.
Yep.
Like that sort of thing. Like we're still going to look at these different larger premiums for you to see what kind of return it might have. Like that sort of thing. But yeah, no, I love people. And so if I can get a referral, that just means I can share my love with people more.
Right.
To more of their family.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that. My philosophy on the whole jokes and being their friends is like, until the app, it's all business, and we mostly business, right? I still will joke here and there, and if they're being very like, chipper, for lack of a better term, I'll kind of match that energy.
Absolutely.
But for the most part, I'm all business, and then in the app, my full personality comes out. I'm cracking jokes. Part of that is
loosening them up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So back to the referrals thing. So really, it sounds like how long would you say on average your presentations and your closes are longer than most?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm trying to bring that down a little bit.
No.
But
Well, so the reason I was curious is because like for me, you brought something up, like you say you always ask for a contingent beneficiary. And for me, I'm like, we can always adjust later. Let me just get one primary or two primary beneficiaries and just cruise through.
Yeah.
Versus your approach is more like, hey, let me slow this part down with the beneficiary stuff in the app, because this is where
the
I can
referral
build value and yeah. So no, I don't think. I mean, obviously, yeah, 36,000 AP last month. Like, I wouldn't change much. That's great.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that I'm pulling out here is that you probably slow down towards the end, whereas most agents are like, oh, gotta just wrap this up and let's go.
Yeah.
Whereas like, no, if you actually pause and slow down, that's where you can build more value, solidify. My guess is your cancellation rate is pretty low. Like most of your policies stay on the books.
Bro, right now, since December, knock on the table, best persistency right now, I have no chargebacks.
Zero.
Dang. I've also been crazy enough hitting 36 last month. Literally, I've been downselling everybody. Casey, my budget is $250 a month. I'm like, this is what $150 will do for you. And then I'm like, hey, that's $1,800 a year that you get to keep. That extra $100 a month you get to keep. That's Christmas for the kids. That's a fine dinner with your wife once a month.
Right.
Like, then they're like, oh, this guy wants me to save money. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want you to spend. I don't want you to be insurance poor, because then now I'm taking food off the table.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been trying to keep it at a good pace, but also longer on the call, 100%.
That's super smart. And then as we kind of wrap up, because our little podcaster over there, my wife, needs to go pick up our daughter. And I wish I could like sit here and talk for a long time. I wish we had longer. But as we kind of wrap up, I think the most impactful advice would be maybe speak to agents or other people in sales who are struggling right now, production's not as high, maybe they're feeling down in the dumps, mentally they're just not there, what would be your advice to them to keep them going?
To keep them going, every single person that has struggled at one point. So just remember that. You're not alone. Always reach out to someone else, because sometimes you may not be able to find that back in yourself, but leveraging others has been a changer, like a game changer for my business as a whole. But then just keep going. The majority of people will quit before they get to it. And I also like to always use the saying, like, we're kind of like arrows and like a bow and arrow. An arrow has to get pulled back first before it can shoot forward. So anytime you feel like life is dragging you back, you feel like you're in this slump, just know you're about to get launched forward, and just believe in that and remember that. You'll be solid. You'll be good to go.
Mic drop. All right. Thanks, Casey.